I'm here with Valentine WPL coach Cassie. And Cassie, the WPL for the first time in a couple of years back on Bar TV. How important is it for the game here in Newcastle?
Yeah, I think it's really good to promote women's football, and I'm really pleased about the coverage that media has taken over. So it's important for the girls and the development of girls coming through. Yeah.
Now, the Women's World Cup on earlier in the year, how important is it to sort of build on that with this coverage?
Yeah, it's good. We're fortunate enough to have an ex-Matilda in our team and a couple of girls that obviously looking to get to that level as well. So incorporating both, you can't get any better for women's football at the moment.
Now, next year, looking forward, in terms of media coverage, where would you hope for the WPL to be at?
Yeah, look, the W League struggled this year, and obviously ABC pulled their coverage, so any coverage is better than no coverage. So whether it just is snippets of the games or results or how the girls went on the weekend, I think something just to promote women's football in that way would be amazing. Yeah.
Now, just to talk about, there was a lot of women's players leaving the WPL this year to go to Sydney, and of course a lot of W League players going overseas. How good is that going to be for the game in the future? For the Matildas, probably not as good for Australia because we're losing some of those star players.
Yeah, look, there's a bit of both. I played in Sydney myself for a decade and a bit, and that is the premier competition in Australia. So if you want to be seen by, I guess, the Australian selectors, then that's the competition to be in. The Emerging Jets moved down to that competition last year, and as long as there's some sort of exposure, and you've got that with the Emerging Jets now with the 5 girls being selected in the Under-19s World Cup, and they're all from Newcastle. So that sort of exposure, I think, whilst players are going overseas, they need that to be at the elite level. So as long as there's a balance between promoting girls locally and having the opportunity to play for Australia, I think there's got to be a good mix, and there's a good balance at the moment, but WPL in Newcastle needs to be promoted a little bit better. Yeah.
Now, looking ahead to the grand final, how excited are you for the girls and yourself going into this big match on Sunday?
Well, for me, it's been 3 years. I've been 3 years at Velo promoting and getting girls to get to this level. So for us, it's really exciting. And again, the girls are all pumped after last week's 8-0 defeat over Adamstown. So we're going into that because we've got the 18s as well in the grand final. So we've got 2 teams this weekend. So between them, they're pumped to take 2 wins. So.
It's been a very successful year for Valentine, of course, getting promoted in the new FM in the men's, and as you said, 18's grand final and in the first grade grand final.
Yeah, so for myself, it's a lot of work, and I've got a lot of coaching staff and volunteers that help, and without that, we don't have a program. So I think the executive committee at Valentine should be very proud of all their coaches and playing staff this year because we've done the club proud. Yeah.
Now, looking ahead to the game against Merewether, your attack has been wonderful this year. 70 goals in the regular season. Defence, you've conceded 48, which is the highest out of what I'm going to call the big 3. You guys, Adamstown and Merewether. What have you got to do this weekend to beat Merewether?
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand why that is, and that's mainly because the girls' first year sort of coming together. We've got a few new players, and there was a few non-starters, and between the 2, it sort of culminated into being behind at half time and then coming up over the top. So we've sorted that now. So whilst that's a bad record, we won't continue that into grand final. Not at all.
Now, what a performance last week in the semi-final against Adamstown. Of course, a few players from Adamstown going, but that takes nothing away from what a wonderful performance that would have been.
No, so if we're going to compare, I had 4 of my best stars sitting on the bench with yellow cards. So even taking them off, we still scored 3 goals. So for us, it was the final combination of the hard work coming together, the girls clicking as a team, and results showed. So we expect the same this weekend.
Now, you've met Merewether 3 times this year, 2 defeats and a draw. What are you looking to? How do you take those results going forward into Sunday's game?
That's exactly right. We don't look back; we look forward. We take each game, and if we didn't like it, we put it in the bin and move forward. And that's our how the girls approached it, and that's how they approached us last weekend because we had only beaten Adamstown once in the last 3 years. So for us, we look forward to what we can do, not what we should have done, and that motivates the team even more.
Well, Cassie, thanks for chatting to us here on Bar TV. It's been great to speak to you and great to have the WPL back in the headlights of local media, I should say.
So thank you. It's been awesome. Thanks, guys.